So many different times in my life, I've played with broken or hurt things, broken foot, broken leg, broken hand, broken arm, broken sternum, broken collarbone. I could keep going if I just thought more about bones. Why, man? Because I loved it. I loved playing the game. I was passionate about it. One of the reasons I even get encouraged at seeing all of you here. Do you know why I get encouraged by that? Is because you could be anywhere doing a lot of different things, but you chose to be here.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. In a world filled with endless opportunities, why would two men who have built 13 multi-million-dollar businesses altruistically invest 5 hours per day to teach you the best practice business systems and moves that you can use? Because they believe in you. And they have a lot of time on their hands. They started from the bottom, now they're here. It's the Thrivetime show starring the former U.S. Small Business Administration's Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark, and the entrepreneur trapped inside an optometrist's body, Dr. Robert Zuttner. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
Mr. Clyde started from the bottom, and now we're at the top, teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the CNC up on your radio, and now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. Now we here.
Clay, I walk past these green chairs every day, and I just count down the minutes till I can sit beside you and just pick your brain. So thank you for being here.
That's how I felt about my vacation plans to go to Delaware last year,
Delaware?
which I ultimately canceled.
Good. Well, we're just going to keep going. I love that story. I'm glad you're sharing. That's neat. We're not canceling. We're going to continue this episode. Okay?
I don't know who Sharon is.
All right. We're talking about the startup, okay? The startup. And what you need to know here to make sure that all the co-founders, when you're starting a company, are all on the same page, okay? Clay, I need you to get on my page here. Let's get on the same page. And the 18 areas that all co-founders should agree on. Just hold it together.
We haven't started yet.
Yeah, we're talking about the startup, all right? Specifically talking about how to make sure all your co-founders are on the same page, okay? So we're going to go through the 18 areas that all co-founders should agree on.
Now, real quick, if you're watching this and you're saying 18,
Yep.
we're talking about building a big company. This is going to be the golden goose that feeds you for years. This is going to be like, this is your money machine here. You need to take the time to go through all 18 of these. This is very detailed. Big
Right.
goals require a lot of details.
Right, and you know, I mean, you're paying here for this subscription. You know that you come here for the real practical education. So we're going to teach you actually how to do it. And I love, Clay, that this topic is taught by you, okay? Because you've started many companies.
Yeah.
Okay, you're part owner in 9 different companies now.
True.
You recently launched Thrive and started that from nothing over the past few years working on that. There's nobody more prepared and adequate to teach us this than you. So I'm excited to hear what you got to say.
Awesome.
So let's do it. Let's jump right into these 18 areas here. And I'm gonna, each area I'll phrase as a question, okay? So this first one is, who actually owns this thing? Who actually owns it?
When you talk to your team, you want to bring it up quickly, who owns this thing?
Okay.
I'll give you an example. People all want what's best for themselves. Mm-hmm. And as a owner of a company, you have to be thinking about what's going to be best for the organization. So on Thrive, I know that having David Robinson be a partner for our organization is very important because the
course.
wisdom he brings is ridiculous. He's been so successful off the court, on the court, high integrity, just an awesome person.
If you haven't gone to see his episodes yet, you have to do that. I mean, I sit and watch those episodes all the time.
Yeah, and I have to put a value on that.
Yeah, you do.
And then somebody else might go, well, how come David Robinson gets that? I don't see him in the office as much as everybody else. I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
And that's the time where there's that bias that the individual has and says, well, I feel like I should be compensated more than, or they do it to other employees. They say, well, I'm working a little harder than that person. Or you have people that will confuse employment with ownership, or you'll find people that they say, because I'm working so hard, I deserve this. It's not about that. It's looking at the long-term health of the organization and making smart decisions. But you need to bring up the question, hey, who actually owns what percentage? Let's go ahead and deal with it right now. Early on, before things get weird. That's why it's question number one. Before things get weird, put it on a dry erase board and say, who owns this thing?
So you're telling me, as you were starting Thrive,
Yeah.
back, when you were just thinking about it, you took the time to sit down and map out, at least roughly, what the percentage would look like, what you would own, and what these different founders would own?
It's almost all happening exactly how I planned it. But I had the wise counsel of Bill Shofty and people who I respect and are smarter than myself. And I sat down and I upset people. I upset, I think of the 3 people in the room I was talking with, I probably upset 2 of them when I told them how much they get to own.
Yeah.
And well, how come not this? I'm like, because I'm going to need to raise a massive amount of venture capital.
Right.
And at some point, I might even come to you and buy out part of your share. And don't get offended, because I'm going to need to do what I need to do to make this thing massive.
Right.
And people are like, oh gosh. So I decided as part of Thrive, I don't make $1 until there's a subscriber.
Right.
So just how I did it.
Yeah.
Now, some people are like, well, shouldn't you pay yourself a salary? I felt that I shouldn't. Some people do. I'm not saying I'm right and wrong. It's just that was the way I wanted to lead by example, like, hey, shut up about low pay.
Good.
Because we're going to build this thing to change the planet. And I didn't think it'd be good for me to be taking a huge salary and expecting my people to work in a very intense environment. It's like we're on a submarine here, but we're going to the top.
Yep.
We're on the submarine.
Started from the bottom.
I mean that because we have a team of people here who are working, and we are redefining the way entrepreneurs learn.
We are.
And when you create a new niche and a new market and a new product, it's something new. Learning's never been fun, really, right? Except for those few teachers we had in school.
Yeah.
So people
Like
who are
Tristy.
people like Tristy Fryer.
Yeah.
But unless you are familiar with gamified edutainment, it's a little bit hard to fully be invested in it unless you have some faith.
Good. So the first part is know who owns the thing. Take
Boom.
the time needed to do that, because it'll come back and bite you in the butt if you don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
So number 2, what happens when we get mad at each other as co-founders? What do we do there?
You want to go ahead and fire people before things happen.
These are co-founders.
Pre-fire people. You say, hey, when this gets weird and I need to buy you out, this is how it's going to work.
You tell them that from the very beginning.
I've already had to do it with Thrive so far. Great company, great people working hard, one guy, one person, different people. And sometimes it's in Thrive, it hasn't been any weird situations.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have a company and a guy makes big promises and makes big commitments, and then all of a sudden a guy who's been super committed to his business for years, all of a sudden is like, hey man, this happened to me before. Hey man, I'm moving to Dallas. I'm moving in with a girl. Oh, did you just meet this girl? Yeah, last Tuesday. Oh, so you're gonna? What about your job duties? Well, I'll do it remotely. Then he's in Dallas, not doing the job anymore.
So you set them up for that way in advance.
Tell them in advance. This is how you're going to be fired before they're hired.
And you create that option, right?
You fire people before you hire them. You fire them when you hire them is what Bill Shofty says. You fire them when you hire them. You tell them, if this gets weird, this is what happens.
And you built that into Thrive, correct? With the option to buy anybody out at any point in time.
For no reason.
There you go.
Yeah.
So number 3, can someone become vested in this business?
Basically, vested means at a certain point, can you get to a certain point where you can't be bought out? Now, at Thrive, as an example, we don't have that. You can work here forever, and if I got a wild hair and I wanted to buy you out, I could. Okay?
Right.
Now, why would I not? Because from an integrity situation, that's not my character. I've been in business a long time. People who work here know I wouldn't do that. But at the same time, I could. And at the same time, I put it in there where I have a pretty punitive buyout.
Yeah.
Where I have to buy somebody out for a pretty large amount if we are a big company. So it wouldn't make sense for me to even want to do that once we got to 100,000 subscribers.
Right. That makes sense. Okay, so number 4, what are the goals and the roles of the founders?
The goals and the roles. The goals. Elephant in the Room is a beautiful example.
Yeah.
We're growing that company. Justin's the founder. That's his company. I'm an investor. I'm a partner. He's like he is the boss.
Right.
He wants me though to be the CEO in terms of like operational duties. So if somebody has to be fired or a tough decision has to be made, I do it. But it's his company.
Okay.
So whenever we vote on things, it's like there's 2 votes for him and 1 for me.
Okay.
That's just the role.
Okay.
And we have a partner, Jonathan Barnett. He's the guy who started OxyFresh.
Yeah.
If you Google Jonathan Barnett, he's a fascinating creature, awesome guy, beautiful mind, very good at business.
Yeah.
And he's on the team, and he's kind of the role as a we call him a CFO. We're calling him the chief franchising officer.
Okay.
He knows everything about franchising.
Right.
So whenever we vote, it's like there's 5 votes and he gets 3 of them.
Right.
Because if Justin and I vote, we don't agree with him, we're probably wrong because we haven't built a massive franchise company like he has.
Right.
That's
So
how
you
do
gotta
it.
you gotta identify those roles, and then with the goals, did you do that with Thrive? I mean,
Yeah.
even when you're thinking about the idea, did you set specific
And
goals?
somebody watching this is going to be like, whatever, this isn't true, but this is what happened. I could only work with 15 clients a year. And I can say I had...
This was when you were doing business consulting.
Yeah, and I'm still doing that so that we can never lose touch with who we're helping.
Right.
But I had this year 2 people that come to my mind who came to the office and gave me big hugs and were crying because it was the first time in their life they'd been able to afford health insurance. Like with their family, put their kids in one adult was able to put their kids in private school, and they were very emotional. Like, hey, I was able to afford the tuition. You have no idea what this means to us.
I mean, that's what keeps you going, man.
That's what fires me up. And why I say that is because I can only help 15 people a year.
Right, right.
So I said early on, if we can help 16 people thrive on an annual basis, it's worth it to me.
It's one more than you got.
Yeah. Now, if we can do that, then it's, to me, it's successful. Now, as far as our goals, we want to mentor 1 million people. That's going to be a challenge. I mean, it's going to require you, as the Thriver, to apply these principles. We're a team here. We got to team up on this. But that's our goal, is to mentor millions. But it's worth it to me if we can help even 1 more, because we only live one time. And if you can help just 1 more person,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
I love it. I love your heart. And I'll tell you, just a side note, when you've got a leader that's got a clear goal like this and knows where he's going, I'll tell you from experience, it's fun to work for him, especially when you buy into that vision. We're passionate about what we're doing here. That's why we got guys working crazy hours to make this thing happen.
That and then the food accommodations that Arthur Greeno is
Woo!
providing is
Thank you,
awesome.
Arthur.
Arthur Greeno, Thrive Mentor, bringing some great food. Thank you, Arthur.
Okay, so now let's move on here to number 5. We've touched on this a little bit, but it's when a founder leaves, can the other founders buy out a share?
So if I'm the founder, I start the company, I'm like, well, peace out, guys. I'm going to go sip some margaritas and rent a bunch of movies that I've already seen and just watch those movies on the beach.
Right.
Yeah,
From
I
Blockbuster, you
brought a
can
TV.
get 'em.
I go to Blockbuster to
Yeah,
get those
get
movies.
'em
I
with-
put a flat screen on the beach, get some AC going. It's like being inside
Okay,
at the
nice.
beach. But if I did that, can other people buy out my shares? Or can I just sell it to some third party? Can I just sell it to some dude? Well, imagine how crazy it could be. This actually happened. There was a small business that I was working with, and one of his clients came in one day to drop off pizzas.
Yeah.
It was Farmers Insurance, actually.
Okay.
Working with Farmers Insurance, and one of their clients was a roofer, and he dropped off pizzas. He came in and said, I appreciate you guys so much for all that you do for me.
Yeah.
I want to give you these pizzas. He leaves, he dies. It's like early 40s. He had a partner. They did not go over these steps. So the partner's now widow, she became the majority owner of the company. So she raided all of the cash. Company went out of business. Her family doesn't have a job. The other partner doesn't have a job.
Right.
And he never at any point intended to partner with her,
Right.
but he did because this wasn't decided ahead of time.
So you've got to take the time to set that up.
Yeah. How much time? Enough time to answer all 18.
Good. I mean, this is vital. I mean, if you don't protect yourself against this by taking time in the beginning, again, you're going to regret it.
Yeah,
It's not worth the risk.
I wish I could taser you right now if you don't do it, but
All right, now let's move on here. How much will the buyout cost? How much will the buyout cost?
you want to just put it in the actual writing that, like, if I buy you out, this is what it will cost.
Just explicitly say it right there.
This is what it will cost, and this is what it'll cost if we're doing this much sales. this is how much it'll cost.
Right.
If we're doing this much sales, this is how much it'll cost. If I buy you out at this time, it'll cost this much. But just be specific.
Okay.
Otherwise, you go to arbitration where you hire 2 attorneys to argue with each other, and then it's weird.
That's a waste of money, waste of time.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Even though it's kind of fun, it's actually kind of fun on a
Really?
kind of a weird sick
What's it
level.
like? You know,
arbitration, it's kind of like it would be a funny sitcom if it wasn't your money in your life. But what they do is a guy comes in and he goes, Mr. Smith, he has said that he will not accept your offer, and he's going to offer this much. And then you're like, will you tell Mr. Smith that I'm going to come over there? I'll put. He's like, calm down. Just write down the number, and I'll go tell him. Then he walks out. Mr. Taylor says that he'll accept this amount. Will you tell Mr. Taylor to shove it in his... If you just write down a number, we can work through this. Mr. Smith says, this goes on for hours. I've been in arbitration one time for 4 hours.
Gosh.
Back and forth, and there's adults literally doing this.
All right, so maybe spend the time up front preparing for that too.
Yeah, and by the way, if you put little zingers on there, it gets the arbitrator in a weird situation.
I love it. I love it. That's good. And Nick loves it. Everybody loves it.
I thought it was kind of funny to do that. Yeah.
Good. So how much time, this is number 7 here, how much time are we going to be working on this together? You know, is that defining that with
Are you going to be a partner
co-founders?
with me from the beginning
Right.
until the end of time, or until this becomes successful, or until we 5 years from now?
gotta
How long
define
can
that.
I bet on you being here? Warby Parker is a famous company. They sell eyeglasses. I actually own Warby Parker glasses.
Yeah.
It was started by 3 dudes. One of the dudes is very, very committed to it as his only thing.
Right.
The other guy went on to start a company called Harry's Razors.
Right.
And then, anyway, we just want to define how long am I going to be working on this. And my understanding is those guys are very good friends today.
Yeah.
And they went over this stuff in advance. Who's going to be doing what? How much time are we going to commit to it?
Cool. And have you done that with Thrive and all your companies? I mean, have you built that in?
All my companies, no. Thrive, yes. Elephant in the room, yes. As I've matured and got smarter.
Yeah.
I say got smarter, hired wise counsel.
Sure.
I have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on consulting fees.
Not thousands.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And it seems like that's made you some money?
And I'm trying to offer that to you for $50. So I'm trying to give you that knowledge, and I wish I would have had this back then.
Right. Okay, so next question here, jump down to 8. What are we all getting paid?
People get weird when money's involved.
Yep.
So I say, Caleb, every time that we get, let's just say we were talking about a bakery.
Okay.
Every time that we sell an item for $1, I'm going to pay you 5 cents. And you're like, what? 5 cents? I deserve 10 cents.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, calm down. Yeah. Other partners like, I think I'll just do, if he's doing 10 cents, I'll just do a penny, and that way we don't go over budget. This happens all the time. There's always one passive guy and one aggressive guy. There's a guy who knows he can get his way by being aggressive.
Right.
So he's like, a penny? You're worth 1/2 cent. I'm worth 11.5. And they just and you end up with a lopsided, weird, and especially once the business starts picking up. So you want to decide this ahead of time. What are we getting paid?
Okay, good. Number 9. Can we change what the founders are getting paid?
This just happened. I was in a business deal just a month and a half ago.
Okay.
Irritated me.
Really?
Yeah. It's in the agreement that we can change what we're getting paid. And they came in and wanted to lower what I'm getting paid after I've kind of done my part to make it big.
Yeah.
I couldn't be more upset.
Because it was in there from the beginning.
Yeah.
And
But
you
this is
couldn't
a thing that's in there for a long time, and I should have done
Right.
step 9. I did not.
Right.
So, dumb tax, I just paid it. Cha-ching.
So the key here, spell it out for me again. With all my co-founders, I'm starting a company.
Yeah.
The key here is deciding if you can change what people are getting paid
Right.
as it goes, depending on circumstances.
Yeah, because a lot of times people do that. Well, things aren't going the way that we expected. Can I cut your pay?
And you've got to build that in from the beginning.
You want to, otherwise it's weird.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So who is going to be the key decision maker? You've built Thrive so that's not in question there.
Yeah, I call it a benevolent dictatorship,
Yeah.
which basically means I'm a dictator and I plan on being benevolent.
Right.
So I can make the final decision on any situation. So there's a funny situation, this is a fun example, but Dan is one of our partners.
Yeah.
And I disagree with Dan almost all the time, but it is our discord that it's kind of like there's one cord.
Right.
And then there's another cord, and when we have this discord, it becomes this
You
rope.
dis right there.
Becomes this
This
rope,
cord.
and it's stronger. And And I never agree with him at the beginning. And I'm almost to the point where I don't even want to talk to him. Sometimes I'm like, here comes Dan. Crap. So it's like, Clay, what do you want to get for lunch? And I'm just like, what do you want? Because I don't even want to say what I want, because I know if I say it, he'll be like, why would you want that? I just know it's going to be that way.
Plus it's
but
vegetarian
but
sushi.
he honestly, we put him in a position because he has an unmatched track record for being high integrity and for thinking differently.
Right.
And he saves us all the time. It's unbelievable. It's a great relationship. But it's a situation where we have to know who makes the decisions. So I let him make decisions in this area 9 times out of 10, but sometimes I have to hop in and say, you know what, I disagree, we're going to do this.
So you've got the ultimate authority to make decisions wherever needed, but you've also, staffed the team with people who are great in certain areas. Even you got Deidre Detterman, also a mentor here, and she's very experienced in advertising, and you're fine with letting her run with that.
Yeah.
But you've got the ultimate authority.
Yeah, well, the other day Deidre said something that I did not agree with, and I've given her authority, and I listened and I listened and I listened. I still didn't agree. She ended up being proved out to be very right.
Yeah.
And it's because she has experience in that area, but I ultimately can decide whether to delegate that or not. Does that make sense?
That does.
And that's the thing. And I want to give you an example here of one that maybe, this is a little free bonus marriage tip for you. If you're married right now, let's say you're a dude, and you've decided that you will decide on all decisions.
It's all in your play. You got this.
And then she's also decided, I'm going to decide on every decision.
I can see some discord.
It's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So you need to decide right now in that marriage. Now I subscribe to a certain, the Judeo-Christian worldview where I'm the head of the household, so I decide. Some people might say, you're sexist, you're terrible. That's fine. Then decide who decides.
Right.
But we cannot have 2 chiefs.
Right.
We cannot have 2 masters. We need one. Otherwise, there'll be a conflict and there'll be bureaucracy.
That makes sense.
Okay.
And I think it fits nicely into this next point, number 11. How will decisions be made? Remember, these are all questions you have to ask before you're starting your company with your co-founders, or else you will run into massive problems in the future. So number 11, how are decisions made?
You have 3 options. One is majority vote.
Okay.
Hey, there's 3 of us, let's vote. Aye, nay, aye. Okay, there's 2 ayes, 1 nay, ayes win, boom. That's it, majority.
Got it.
Okay, whoever has the most votes, an uneven number, whoever has the most. 5 people vote, 3 people say yes, 2 people say no, majority wins.
Yep.
Second area here is the unanimous vote.
Okay.
That's where it has to be everyone agrees.
I feel like that would kind of stop productivity at times?
And actually, there's organizations that want to do that on purpose.
Okay.
So there are like In-N-Out Burger is an example of a company.
Okay.
They have set up certain things in their bylaws so that they can't be tampered with, which will keep their structure exactly the way it's always been.
That makes sense.
That's what they do. The United States government's kind of that way.
Yeah.
Where it's designed to have dissent.
Right.
It's designed for the Democrats to go, we're in favor. Republicans are like, we're not in favor.
Yeah, the checks and
argue,
balances.
checks and balances.
Sure.
Okay. And the final one is a benevolent dictatorship.
Which is
now, this is good if you have a king that you trust.
Okay.
So when you sign up for a benevolent dictatorship, you better say, like, I agree with this person.
Right.
Or I don't. And if you don't, you better not be a part of that.
Right.
Hypothetically, if you live in North Korea right now, and I know in North Korea 100% of the people vote in favor of their dictator every year.
Right.
And I know in Cuba 100% of the people, if you're in Cuba right now, I know 100% of you voted in favor of your awesome dictator there.
I think I'm seeing what you're saying.
But I'm saying these are situations, so I prefer to have a benevolent dictatorship as long as I'm the dictator.
So let's talk about this a little bit more, though. If I'm setting up a company, how do I know what types of companies will work best for these 3 different
I
styles?
honestly would recommend, though, if you were starting your own business,
Yeah.
I recommend you have a benevolent dictatorship.
You do.
Because I think it's very important. But then I want you to say this, though. I want you to say this to yourself when you get in that situation. You want to say, I believe I'm the dumbest person in the room.
Right.
And therefore I am listening to everybody. And that's hard.
You do that well, though. You've surrounded yourself with people that you respect and you listen to, but you even listen to, people that maybe don't warrant it from the resume, but you you really do listen to their ideas.
Bill Shofty is one of our Thrive mentors, who's going to be teaching us a lot about accounting
Yeah.
and sales. This guy grew a company. He managed it close to 1/5 of a company that ultimately sold for $2 billion. And Bill, every single time I meet with Bill, he points out to me how stupid I am. And not like he's trying to hurt my feelings, but he points out a critical, just like, how do you miss that?
You've got to surround yourself with those people.
And he would point out those gaps, and that's how I would get better. And we have such a great team of advisors. We're not perfect, but they really do help me keep on vision.
I love it. All right, well, let's keep on moving then.
Yeah.
Number 12, when can one of the founders be fired? What qualifies as,
What does one of
a
the founders
situation?
have to do to be fired?
Yeah.
I would say this: if a founder commits a misdeed of the sexual or heinous, where they're doing something that's such a crime against humanity,
Just immediately.
I would go ahead and let them go. I would define that on the, so example, this felon. I think
Yeah.
I don't know if I shared with them on this episode, but we had a former employee who committed a felony,
Right.
and it was bad.
Right.
The kind of thing where I don't want to see the person again.
Right.
I hope he goes to jail forever.
Right.
And I'd like to put that in the agreement that I hope I don't have to keep paying that guy checks if he violates those laws.
That makes
I mean,
sense.
that's just something you just don't do those things.
Right.
So
Okay. Well, is there anything else that we need to set as a grounds for firing somebody else besides something
just
that
think of the
extreme?
worst possible scenario
Okay.
and then write all those down.
So not just in
Steals
this
money.
right.
Sexually gets involved in some relationship with maybe, I mean, it's
Anything immoral in
You
that
think
region.
this is not going to happen?
Yeah.
I know of 2 situations this year where 2 partners, they partnered. One guy's partnering, it's he and a husband and a wife. Husband and wife, they partner and start a company. And this guy's wife cheats with this dude. So the 2 partners, they cheated and it ruined both marriages, ruined the company. You see it all the time.
Yeah.
I know another company where the owner, the 2 founders,
Right.
and one of the founders, every time a customer would deposit cash,
Yeah.
he would take all of the cash out of the company every week and would never admit to it.
What?
Yeah, and every week. And so he actually took all of the cash out of the account and bought a house with it.
So you've got to set up some protection.
And there's nothing in their bylaws to say he can't.
Gosh.
So the other guy's like, morally, bro, you took all of the cash out of the company, and now I'm having to make payroll with my own savings because you did this. And he's like, you never said, bro.
Wow. You
And
gotta-
people start to say it's just business.
Okay, so number 13, how much cash does each founder have to contribute? Remember, these are issues that Clay has outlined as essential for you to define before you start this company.
Here's where it gets fun.
Come on.
For Thrive right now, every time that we need to raise $100,000, if I want to at any point, I can levy that. I can say, hey, we need to raise $100,000. So if you own 1%, I need $1,000 from you. And if you don't put it in, then that's basically dilutes your shares.
Yeah.
And I don't have to ask for your permission because I'm not going to stop funding it because I'm sold out.
Right,
This is what I believe in.
right.
I'll spend every last dime doing it because this is what I'm into. Because I believe in this. I know that growing up without financial resources, how my life would have been different if I would have known these things.
Right.
Well, in some companies, everyone looks around like, well, I don't have any money. You don't have any money. I don't. So example, one business I worked with years ago, there's 2 owners. They're both making tons of money. One goes out and buys a skyrise
Yeah.
in downtown Dallas. Beautiful place.
Yeah.
New car, new girlfriend, new. Spends a ton of money, and then they need to grow the company.
Yeah,
so
they
the other
can't do
partner
it.
says, hey, bro, we need to expand our facility. Their guy's like, hey, I'm out of cash. I've got a great girlfriend, though, and a great car, and a great condo, and a great season passes, and great. And he's like, well, hey, we now have a problem because we need cash.
Right.
So I'm going to go ahead and put my own cash in place of your cash, and I'm diluting your ownership because of your failure to save.
Okay, so that was point number 13, and now point 14 similar. 13 was how much cash does each founder have to contribute?
Yeah.
And you kind of touched on 14, I think, which is what happens when the business needs more cash.
Well, there's a distinction because there's the amount of money you put in initially,
Okay,
and then there's the amount of money you're going to need later.
okay.
And I'm just telling you with Thrive as an example. I knew that I could put in up to $1 million into the company without anybody's help.
Yeah,
I could just put it in. I'll do whatever I need to do. Now, I knew at some point I knew that to grow this and to make it awesome and to provide the awesome backgrounds, the sets, the
Right.
talent, the team, the editors,
These beautiful lights.
Yeah,
Just
those Edison
hanging,
bulbs were-
suspending above us.
we're probably going to need about $3 million. This is my thought process here.
Yeah.
So in order to do this, I had to come back to the people on the team and say, hey guys, we're going to need to get some more money.
Right.
We need to contribute some more money. But it was laid out in advance. So every time that we need another dollar, if you own 1%, I'm going to need you to come back with a penny.
Right.
And a couple guys were like, I don't know if I can do that. And I wasn't asking for $1. I'm asking for like $1,000.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, well, let's go ahead and buy you out. We already agreed to it, so
Right.
let's just move on.
You set it up from the beginning that way.
Fine.
Yeah.
No hurt feelings.
Good. Well, let's go to number 15 then. What happens when we take on more investors?
As you grow a company, you're probably going to have, if you build it right, you're gonna want to take over. Like, let's just make up an example. Let's say you built a company in the city of New York.
Okay.
And it's very successful.
Yeah.
And I'm going to call it Crumbs. You ever seen Crumbs? There's a Crumbs cupcake place where
Yeah.
it's kind of famous. Well, if it does well there, wouldn't you want to make it successful in the 50 different cities?
Yeah.
What if you don't have the money to open up 50 locations simultaneously? You have enough money to open up one more, but
Sure.
not 50 at the same time. Now, because we only live once, it would make more sense to open up 50 at the same time if you know it works,
Right.
as opposed to waiting for 50 years to save up enough cash to do it.
Right.
So you need to take on an investor.
Okay, so what happens?
So you need to define it.
Okay.
That's why we need an attorney. We need to talk to the attorney about all the options and define it. Now for Thrive, I can dilute anyone's ownership without asking them. I can just say, hey, thank you, but now I'm going to buy up part of your shares and resell them to somebody else at a greater amount.
Yep. Hey, I mean, if that's the way you're going to set up your business, that's fine. What we're saying is you got to sit down with the co-founders and decide all of this ahead of time.
And I'll say this, and I mean this in all sincerity, and I actually intend to do that. There'll be people on our team
Yeah.
who won't save anything. They'll make a lot. Thrive will make a lot of money, and some people won't save a dime. And they're gonna be like, well, I didn't know I'd have to put more money back in. I'm like, I told you. And then there's an agreement that states it and all that. But I'll have to buy somebody out.
Yeah.
And don't get emotional. It's just what happens.
All right, so 16, if the business is going to be sold, how is that decided?
This needs to be discussed. I mean, if I want to sell Thrive and I don't, because this is like my passion
Yeah.
project, but if I did, God, when I sold DJ Connection, I thought I was going to die.
Yeah,
I was like, this is my baby.
yeah,
I worked so hard to start this thing. And I remember staying up all night with my wife, growing this business and, just going to Office Depot and trying to buy all the equipment we needed last minute. I remember pulling all-nighters, trying to get
course.
ready for all the weddings and entertaining all these events. We've missed events and birthday parties and family activities to work at the company. And when you sell it, it's kind of emotional.
yeah.
And you want to know that when you do sell a company, how's that going to be decided?
Right,
So under my system, I can decide whenever I want to if I want to sell it. No one gets a voice in that.
right.
Now, if you did the majority vote, you're like, Greg, do you approve? No, I don't. And all of a sudden, 2 people don't want to sell it and 1 person does, and the company can't be sold.
Right. So however you set up that company, we'll decide, but you've got to define how it all works.
Absolutely.
Good. So now we've got 17. What's the big goal and vision of the business? You can't lose this, right?
Well, here's the thing. As a human on the planet Earth, regardless of your faith, most of us believe that our human body, it's only going to be here for one lifetime.
Right.
And because we believe that, I believe that we need to be a steward, a good steward of the time that we have on the planet. And so the best example I can give you is imagine right now you had an hourglass that's upside down. And every day you see a little bit of life, have you ever seen an hourglass where just a little bit of sand comes out every day?
Yeah.
If that was your life, if you saw it that way, if you truly thought about your life that way,
It's getting
wouldn't
deep,
you
man.
have a sense of urgency
Yeah.
to be to invest every day wisely? I know it sounds crazy, but that's what I do.
Yeah.
That's just my philosophy. So if I'm going to, how this relates to this why is, what's the goal and vision of the business? What are we doing?
Right.
Are we going to get together and pull all-nighters and work our butts off to make some awesome stuff for something that we don't care about? Or are we doing something that we care about?
Right.
And the truly great companies, people care about it.
Yes.
And if you don't care, what are we doing?
You've made sure that not only is that vision perfectly articulated in your mind and on paper, but you've translated that to all of us here. I mean, that's why we're willing to do whatever it takes to get this product out, because we've really tapped in and believe in this same vision you have. We want to help you. I mean, grow your business. We understand that this is your life, and I love that you've been able to translate that to us.
And I think as a team, though, I have to sell myself on it first.
1-5.
As a team, though, I have to sell myself on it first. I have to be 100% sold out.
Yeah.
And I call this right here, Napoleon Hill calls this burning your bridges. And I'll give you an example real quick. There's a story from Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, which is a book we should all read.
Yes.
But he explains that there's this general, he's going into war, and he's attacking the other guys. He's attacking them. He's coming from an ocean, basically a sea vessel.
Okay.
He's on a boat. He's coming into shore, and he tells his second in command. He says, "Dudes, let's land this boat. Let's dock this boat right on the shore."
Okay.
And he's like, "Well, boss, we're outnumbered like 10-1. This is based on a historical event here, okay?"
Wow.
And he says, "We're outnumbered 10-1 or 5-1, whatever it is." And he says, "Yeah. By the way, this happened to George Washington, very similar situation where we're outnumbered." And he says, "Okay." And so he turns to the second in command and he says, "Get all the guys off the boat. We're going to attack." And he's like, "Attack? There's a lot more of them than there is of us." And he says, "Oh, yeah, here's what we're going to do. Set the boat on fire. Get all the ammo, get all the guns out, and set it on fire." And he's like, the boat? Like the boat that we took to get here?
The only way back?
And he says, "Yeah." And he says, "All right, is that like a smoke screen, or is that some sort of, you must be a genius." So he's setting it on fire. Flames are going up in the air, and he kind of is like, "Hey, so boss, that was a genius move, the smoke screen." And he's like, "No, it's not a smoke screen. What we're doing is, see, we burned the boats that got us here,
Right.
and there's now no method of retreat.
There's no other
So we
option.
either win or we die. Let's go win."
And this is probably where a lot of our viewers find themselves right now. I mean, we know that we're talking to people, and this is not a joke. Your business is not a joke. This is your life. I mean, we've sat down with many of these entrepreneurs who come into the studio asking for your help, and you've looked into their eyes and they say, "Clay, I mean, there is no option. This is my livelihood, and that's why we're here to help you. We understand that you've often burnt your lifeboat, and this is all
You
you
should
got."
burn your life.
You should.
You should burn your method of retreat. You should be sold out. Let me tell you what. Steve Jobs, when he and his team of people were working all-nighters to grow Apple, when Mark Zuckerberg and his team was starting Facebook, when Bill Gates was working around the clock with his team to grow Microsoft, when Henry Ford was failing for the 5th time,
Yep.
when Thomas Edison had his 10,000th failed experiment, when Walt Disney lost it all twice, when Elon Musk shot up his 3rd rocket into the atmosphere that did not work, when Richard Branson was dropping out of high school at the age of 16 to start his first successful business, when Lenny Kravitz, the music artist, was living in a car to get his musical career going,
Yeah.
when Ryan Tedder and One Republic was working for like 5 years without compensation to get their band off the ground, they did not have a backup plan.
Right.
Their backup plan was to continue just hitting and hitting and hitting the oak tree with this big blade until finally it would fall down.
There's no 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah,
You got to be all in.
all in.
I love it. All right, so number 18. This is our last one. This is getting down to the nitty gritty practical for you. Again, the things that you have to go over with your co-founders before you start your business
Yep.
is, who is our attorney? Who's going to be our attorney?
I have gone through 3 attorneys so far this year for some projects I've worked on, and I love our attorney that we have with Thrive.
Really?
But for different companies, I've seen 3 different yahoos that other people brought to the table.
Yahoos, can you define that?
A yahoo would be somebody who has no ability to execute on big plans. They just talk and go, "Yahoo! Yahoo! Woo! I can do
Is that a
whatever."
Webster defined Where do we find that?
It's more of an Oxford.
Okay, good.
But it's a deal. You have a guy who's
Yahoo.
you get these yahoos. What they do is they basically team up with you and they say, whatever kind of document you want, I support it. Yahoo! And then you're like, hey, did you get the document done? Woo! No, you want to go jet skiing? Yeah, And then we want to get somebody who's more of the focused guy who says, let's get this document done this weekend, okay?
Right.
That's the guy you want. The guy's going to sit down with you and talk about 26 legal agreements at 4 a.m. That's who you want.
So tell me this then. Practically, how do I make sure I'm not getting the yahoos and I'm getting the
Call
focus
3.
guys?
Rule of 3. Call 3 different options.
3 options.
Google it. Ask your friends. Ask your wife. Ask your husband. Just find 3 options. Interview these people and ask them these 3 questions, okay?
Okay.
1. Homie, I need 5 references.
Right. Like you're actually going to call them. You're going to call people they've worked with.
I can give out their cell phones because of the client privilege. Stop it, homie.
Well, if they talk like that, you shouldn't even do business with them, probably.
Well, that's actually intriguing to me. A lot of the attorneys I go for are the guys who talk like this. Okay, and then the next thing is, what are the person's fees going to be?
Okay, what are your fees?
What are your
Hard
fees
number.
gonna be?
You actual get a number.
And the final one is, hey, how long have you been doing this? How long have you been a practicing attorney? That's what I ask them. Make your decisions based off of facts. Get the facts, then you act.
Good.
Bam, or you'll be jacked.
But you've got to have
And
that set
smacked.
up before you got your company going. I mean, you got to deal with these problems ahead of time or they will come back to haunt you.
Absolutely, you don't want to be haunted. By a
Avoid that.
yahoo.
Yahoo haunters, those ghosts are scary.
Yeah.
Thank you, Clay. Appreciate your time. Love
Hey.
hearing from you.
I want to say something. Recycle.
That's wow.
JT, do you know what time it is?
4:10.
It's Tebow time in Tulsa, Jerusalem, baby. Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
During the month of Christmas, December 5th and 6th, 2024, Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma in the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Growth Workshop. Yes, folks, put it in your calendar. This December, the month of Christmas, December 5th and 6th, Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma in the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business growth workshop.
We've been doing business conferences here since 2005. I've been hosting business conferences since 2005. What year were you born?
1995.
Dude, I've been hosting business conferences since you were 10 years old. And a lot of people, have followed Tim Tebow's football career on the field and off the field. And off the field, the guy's been just as successful as he has been on the field. Now, the big question is, JT, how does he do it?
Well, they're going to have to come and find out because I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying, Tim Tebow's going to teach us how he organizes his day, how he organizes his life, how he's proactive with his faith, his family, his finances. He's going to walk us through his mindset that he brings into the gym, into business. It is going to be a blasty blast in Tulsa, Jerusalem.
Folks, I'm telling you, if you want to learn branding, you want to learn marketing, you want to learn search engine optimization, you want to learn social media marketing, that's what we teach at the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive workshop. If you want to learn accounting, you want to learn sales systems, you want to learn how to build a linear workflow, you want to learn how to franchise your business, that is what we teach at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshop. Over the years, we've had the opportunity to feature Michael Levine, the PR consultant of choice for Nike, for Prince, for Michael Jackson. We've had the top PR consultant in the history of the planet has spoken at the Thrivetime Show workshops. We've had Jill Donovan, the founder of RusticCuff.com, a company that creates apparel worn by celebrities all throughout the world. Jill Donovan, the founder of RusticCuff.com, has spoken at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshops. We have the man who's responsible for turning around Harley Davidson, a man by the name of Ken Schmidt. He has spoken at the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshops. Folks, I'm telling you, these events are going to teach you what you need to know to start and grow a successful business. And the way we price the events, the way we do these events, is you can pay $250 for a ticket or whatever price that you can afford. What? Yes, we've designed these events to be affordable for you, and we want to see you live and in person at the 2-day interactive December 5th and 6th Thrivetime Show Business Workshop. Everything that you need to succeed will be taught at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Workshop, December 5th and 6th in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And the way we do these events is we teach for 30 minutes, and then we open it up for a question and answer session. so that wonderful people like you can have your questions answered. Yes, we teach for 30 minutes and then we open it up for a 15-minute question and answer session. It's interactive. It's 2 days. It's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We've been doing these events since 2005, and I'm telling you, folks, it's going to blow your mind. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshop is America's highest rated and most reviewed business workshop. See the thousands of video testimonials from real people just like you who've been able to build multi-million-dollar companies. Watch those testimonials today at thrivetimeshow.com. Simply by clicking on the testimonials button right there at thrivetimeshow.com, you're going to see thousands of people just like you who've been able to go from just surviving to thriving. Whoa. Each and every day, we're going to add more and more speakers to this all-star lineup, but I encourage everybody out there today, get those tickets today. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com. And some people might be saying, well, how do I do it? What do I do? How does it work? You just go to thrivetimeshow.com. Let's go there now. We're feeling the flow. We're going to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, you just go to thrivetimeshow.com. You click on the business conferences button and you click on the request tickets button right there. The way I do our conferences is we tell people it's $250 to get a ticket.
Yep.
Or whatever price that you can afford. And the reason why I do that is I grew up without money. JT, you're in the process of building a super successful company. Did you start out with $1 million in the bank account?
No, I did not. Nope, did not get any loans, nothing like that. Did not get an inheritance from parents or anything like that. I had to work for it, and I'm super grateful. I came to a business conference. That's actually how I met you, met Peter Taunton. I met all these people.
So if you're out there today and you want to come to our workshop, again, you just got to go to thrivetimeshow.com. You might say, well, who's speaking? We already covered that. You might say, where's it going to be? It's going to be in Tulsa, Jerusalem, Oklahoma. And someone says, Tulsa, Jerusalem. I'm really trying to rebrand Tulsa as Tulsa, Jerusalem, sort of like the Jerusalem of America. But if you type in Thrivetime Show and Jinx, you can get a sneak peek or a look at our office facility. This is what it looks like. This is where you're headed. It's going to be a blasty blast. You can look inside, see the facility. We're going to have hundreds of entrepreneurs here. It is going to be packed. Now, for this particular event, folks, the seating is always limited because my facility isn't a limitless convention center. You're coming to my actual home office, and so it's going to be packed. You're going to come. I'm talking to you. You can just get your tickets right now at thrivetimeshow.com. And again, you can name your price. We tell people it's $250 or whatever price you can afford. And we do have some select VIP tickets, which gives you an access to meet some of the speakers and those sorts of things. And those tickets are $500. It's a 2-day interactive business workshop, over 20 hours of business training. We're going to give you a copy of my newest book, The Millionaire's Guide to Becoming Sustainably Rich. You're going to leave with a workbook. You're going to leave with everything you need to know to start and grow a super successful company. It's practical, it's actionable, and it's Tebow time right here in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Get those tickets today at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com.
Hello, I'm Michael Levine, and I'm talking to you right now from the center of Hollywood, California, where I have represented over the last 35 years 58 Academy Award winners, 34 Grammy Award winners, 43 New York Times bestsellers. I've represented a lot of major stars, and I've worked with a lot of major companies. And I think I've learned a few things about what makes them work and what makes them not work. Now, why would a man living in Hollywood, California, in the beautiful sunny weather of LA, come to Tulsa? Because last year I did it, and it was damn exciting. Clay Clark has put together an exceptional presentation, really life-changing, and I'm looking forward to seeing you then. I'm Michael Levine. I'll see you in Tulsa.
Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshops are the world's highest rated and most reviewed business workshops because we teach you what you need to know to grow.
You can learn the proven 13-point business systems that Dr. Zellner and I have used over and over to start and grow successful companies. I mean, we get into the specific steps on what you need to do to optimize your website. We're going to teach you how to fix your conversion rate. We're going to teach you how to do a social media marketing campaign that works. How do you raise capital? How do you get a small business loan? We teach you everything you need to know here during a 2-day, 15-hour workshop. It's all here for you. You work every day in your business, but for 2 days you can escape and work on your business and build these proven systems so now you can have a successful company that will produce both the time freedom and the financial freedom that you deserve. You're going to leave energized, motivated, but you're also going to leave empowered. The reason why I've built these workshops is because as an entrepreneur, I always wish that I had this. And because there wasn't anything like this, I would go to these motivational seminars, no money down, real estate, Ponzi scheme, get motivated seminars, and they would never teach me anything. It was like you went there and you paid for the big chocolate Easter bunny, but inside of it, it was a hollow nothingness. And I wanted the knowledge, and they're like, oh, but we'll teach you the knowledge after our next workshop. And the great thing is we have nothing to upsell. At every workshop, we teach you what you need to know. There's no one in the back of the room trying to sell you some next big get-rich-quick, walk-on-hot coals product. It's literally, we teach you the brass tacks, the specific stuff that you need to know to learn how to start and grow a business. And I encourage you to not believe what I'm saying, and I want you to Google the Z66 auto auction. I want you to Google elephant in the room. Look at Robert Zellner and Associates. Look them up and say, are they successful because they're geniuses, or are they successful because they have a proven system? When you do that research, you will discover that the same systems that we use in our own business can be used in your business. Come to Tulsa, book a ticket, and I guarantee you it's going to be the best business workshop ever, and we'll even give you your money back if you don't love it. We've built this facility for you, and we're excited to see you.
And now you may be thinking, what does it actually cost to attend an in-person 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshop? Well, good news. The tickets are $250 or whatever price that you can afford. What? Yes, they're $250 or whatever price you can afford. I grew up without money, and I know what it's like to live without money. So if you're out there today and you want to attend our in-person 2-day interactive business workshop, all you got to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com to request those tickets. And if you can't afford $250, we have scholarship pricing available to make it affordable for you.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York. Acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
Whoa. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show. Today I'm broadcasting from Phoenix, Arizona, not Scottsdale, Arizona. They're close, but they're completely different worlds. And we have a special guest today. Definition of intelligence is if you agree with me, you're intelligent. And so this gentleman is very intelligent. I've done his show before also, but very seldom do you find somebody who lines up on all counts. And it's a Mr. Clay Clark. He's a friend of a good friend, Eric Trump. But we're also talking about money, bricks, and how screwed up the world can get in a few and a half hour. So Clay Clark is a very intelligent man, and there's so many ways we could take this thing. But I thought, since you and Eric are close, Trump, what were you saying about what Trump can't, what Donald, who's my age, and I can say or cannot say?
First of all, I have to honor you, sir. I want to show you what I did to one of your books here. There's a guy by the name of Jeremy Thorne, who was my boss at the time. I was 19 years old, working at Faith Highway. I had a job at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV. And he said, have you read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad? And I said, no. And my father, may he rest in peace, he didn't know these financial principles. So I started reading all of your books and really devouring your books. And I went from being an employee to self-employed to the business owner to the investor. And I owe a lot of that to you. And I just wanted to take a moment to tell you thank you so much for allowing me to achieve success. And then I'll tell you all about Eric Trump. But I just want to tell you thank you, sir, for changing my life.
But not only that, Clay, thank you, but you become an influencer. More than anything else, you've evolved into an influencer where your word has more and more power. So that's why I congratulate you on becoming. Because as you know, there's a lot of fake influencers out there, too, or bad influencers.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm glad you and I agree so much, and thanks for reading my books.
Yeah.
That's the greatest thrill for me today. Not a thrill, but recognition is when people, young men especially, come up and say, I read your book, changed my life. I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York. Acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say. Whoa.